Hey y'all, it's the girl Achina Yona from Shop Originating. How y'all guys doing today? I decided to go live just for a little bit because I don't plan on being on live for hours like I always do. But I wanted to talk about this whole originating and native thing. And I feel like it's important to discuss and talk about this topic because from an outsider point of view, there's things people are just not going to get. There are things that people just won't understand because they don't come from an originating background like we do. And there's some things that we're not going to understand because we don't come from a native background. And I know these terms may confuse some of y'all because y'all like, okay, well, aren't y'all all the same? Why don't y'all just identify underneath one umbrella? And in this case, that's not going to happen because the original Americans, the origines, we had to grow up differently than the natives had to, and we both may have been struggling. We both know how the system get down. Because the system overall is our enemy. Period. It's not necessarily origines versus natives. No matter how much origines or even origines push that it's origines versus natives, it's really us versus the system overall. So I'm not gonna get too much into that, but I do want to explain why origines and natives feel differently about certain things, because I know there are a lot of natives that are mad about the Redskin logo. Also with our design, Redskin Indian. Not a lot of natives like that because of the origin they claim that the term Redskin comes from. But Shop Originating, me, and many other origines have already explained the many other origins Redskin comes from. So it's not just Redskin meaning like scalping Indians for money. That's a term that we created. That's a term that we use to identify ourselves. And obviously, even natives in the 1800s were using that term to identify themselves as well. So I don't understand where all of a sudden, I don't want to be identified as Redskin or whatever, which is fine. Because in all honesty, it just seems like people don't want to use the term Redskin because it's not being conveyed as what people think a real Indian looks like. Because notice no one's not coming for the margarine butter people with the native woman as, on their packaging, right? Like everybody's talking about that. But when it comes to representation of origines and origines that are darker and getting the spotlight, it's a problem. The term Redskin is a problem. We are mascots. We deserve to be more than mascots and all this other stuff. But let me tell y'all something. Natives and origines are completely two different groups of people. And I'm not saying that because of just phenotypes and genotypes, but I'm saying that because we have experienced things differently, and the things that origines find offensive, natives may not find offensive. The things that natives find offensive, we might not find offensive. Our elders call themselves Injuns, and supposedly the word Injun is a racial slur. But that's a word that our elders use to identify themselves and the people that they come from. So it's just all about the background that you come from. It's all about how you was raised and brought up and what you view as offensive. Because origines, we were raised differently than natives. And the things that we find offensive or did find offensive, it's not offensive like it used to be. You know, like people are still mad at blackface. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, like it. I mean, it is what it is at this point. Like originating people have been disrespected so much that at some point in time, you're gonna find originating people mocking them back for trying to clown us over some, bull that they trying to pull on us. Because we will flip it on them, and they're gonna be like, "Well, wait a minute, like y'all, why can't we? Why can't we?" Like they've been calling us the N word forever, but when we start using the N word and use it to say it to each other, now it's, oh, the N word is offensive. Don't be saying the N word. Don't say the N word. The N word is offensive. I'm like, well, when y'all was saying that to us, we deemed it as offensive. Like we didn't want to be called that word. But now since we use it to identify each other, now it's a problem. Now like when we don't cry over people hurting our feelings or whatever, now it's a problem. I think the thing that people forget here is that people think origines are supposed to be begging for acceptance, right? Oh, how dare you claim you're Indian with no documentation or DNA ancestry test and blah blah blah, right? Everybody wants to use colonizers' tools to identify us, and if they just did right in the beginning, people wouldn't be needing all these tools to figure out who they are. They wouldn't be trying to use all these tools to figure out what other people are. Okay? Like if y'all would have just did right and just counted the Indians that were taxed, not taxed, living on reservations and living off the reservations, we all could be doing good right now. But in all honesty, y'all wasn't counting the taxed Indians and the Indians living off the reservations until hundreds of years later, So, like all the Indians, whether they live on and off the reservation, taxed or not taxed, y'all did not include us until 1900, right? And there supposedly was a first census that was like that in the late 1800s, but somehow those census records were burned down in the 1900s. So basically 1900 is the first census where all Indians were enumerated. But by that time, hundreds of years of paper genocide, if you didn't get counted, you didn't get counted. And natives living on the reservations, they don't understand that. They don't understand paper genocide like we may understand it. And natives, I do see a lot of natives clown us for not having what they call the proper documentation or DNA ancestry test that they deem is important or factual, whatever. But I remember watching Naturally Native. It's a Native American movie, and it's basically where it was these 3 Native women that were adopted, and they didn't really have records of them being indigenous, and it hurt them because they was trying to start a business and they couldn't get like business loans because there were not Indians on paper or Indians on a roll card. And I was seeing, and I also in that movie I was seeing a whole bunch of other natives, talking mess about the natives that didn't have an ID card. So if y'all can put this into perspective, y'all can sit here and make a movie and say, hey, we understand what it is to be native. We understand what it means to be Indian. You don't need papers to know who you are. Because that's basically what the movie is saying. You know who you are with and without the documentation. So, with that being said, for y'all to make that movie and then come to Origines and say that, oh, well, if you don't have an ID or if you don't have this and that, you can't sit there and identify as Indigenous or Original American Order. And I feel like that's so much bull. That is bull, and you guys know it, okay? So at the end of the day, the Aborigines and the natives have been coexisting for some time now. And the more awareness we bring about our heritage and our roots, they're going to have no choice but to acknowledge that. And, they can acknowledge it. They don't have to acknowledge it. It's really up to them. They have their own choices, like we have our own choices, and we can make our own decisions, right? So, all in all, natives and aborigines, at some point in time, it's going to have to be a serious conversation that is talked amongst us. And I may be there, I may not be there. It just depends, because no one's not going to talk to people if they're just going to be childish and not know how to be adults, right? So I'm not going to be there if people don't know how to be grown-ups and talk like they got some sense and manners, like hopefully their parents raised them to. But at some point in time, there's going to have to be a talk, and everybody's going to have to see what it is for themselves, because there's a lot of native elders that come to us and say, yes, y'all guys are indigenous, y'all was here before us, and the younger natives, they don't understand that. They don't get it. They're like, what do you mean? I feel like the native elders are going to have to sit down and talk to their descendants so they understand what exactly is going on. Because the native elders, I don't see so much of them saying that we're African, but they will say that we was definitely here before them. And somehow the information and the wisdom has not been passed down to their, generations. So they're going to have to talk to each other, amongst each other as well, and see what's going on as well. Because you can definitely see the gap of knowledge between the elders and the new generation of natives. So it's just things that are going to have to be talked about. And at Shop Originating, it's not so much as we're trying to divide people, because let's be honest here, we live in the United States. You are already divided. If you vote Democrat, Republican, or if you just play into the system of politics, you already been divided. Like, this country has been divided ever since they came in here with that bull, okay? So it's not so much as division, it's so much as bringing people together and understanding what has happened. And we're not going to have a real understanding until our side is taken seriously and people actually listen and acknowledge us, okay? So ain't nothing gonna pop off until original Americans get the credit, get the love and the admiration that we deserve. Like, we are the source of original American culture, okay? And I know natives, they're going to get mad at that, like, what do you mean? But in all honesty, you can't sit here and say that you're not racist or prejudiced and not know us personally and say that you think that we're African because of just how we look. Like, you don't know me, you don't know my parents, you don't know my elders, you don't know my great-grandparents, you don't even know my great-great-grandparents. So it's not up to you or any other person to tell me who I am. I have done my documentation. I have done what I needed to do. I know what's up, mind your business. So until natives can get to the point where they can stop cyber attacking people and actually sit down and talk to people and understand their lineage and where they come from and etc., nothing is going to change. It's going to continue to be a battle. People are going to continue to go back and forth about some bull. Like, I was just scrolling down and I saw like this page. I was so upset because of what Gullah Carolina posted, and basically he was just like, oh, like, the sun gives you dark skin, not Africa. And I guess that made him upset, and it was like, oh, well, I'm tired of these black people not claiming to be African because this is what the system has done to them. I'm like, you don't know what the system has done to us. The only thing that you know is what you heard. You don't know diddly squat what has happened to us. You don't know anything. So don't speak for us like you know about us, because you don't. Okay, you don't know nothing about black people. You don't know. I mean, the only thing that I really kind of agree with the natives is that, like, saying that African Americans, some of them are African, which I agree to some extent, you know. But they do have to acknowledge that paper genocide took a hard toll on the Aborigines that weren't counted as Indians. You know, we have the bloodline. You know, we know our roots, but we was not counted as Indians because of colorism and a whole bunch of other different things. Okay, so some of us have actually been grouped in with them when we're not even African to begin with. Okay, but yes, some people that are underneath the African American title, they really are African. You know, because the let's look at the nationality African American. Anytime when you have to hyphenate, that means someone from a different landmass migrated here. You know, whether it was forcefully or willingly, you know, they immigrated here. Okay, so when an African moves to America, that's an African American. Just like how a Chinese come to America, that's a Chinese American. Okay, so that term African American is for Africans, but it's not for original Americans. You understand? So I can understand the confusion. I can understand people be confused by the knowledge that we shared. They're like, what are you talking about? I thought African Americans were African, so on and so forth. Yes, African Americans are African, but a lot of the people that you're claiming that are African American, they're not African American. So, I know it's hard for people to understand that. I know it's hard for people to be like, what do you mean you did your genealogy and you ain't find no documents of your ancestors being African? Just like I said, we ain't find that. A lot of us have not found a slave schedule or a document saying that our ancestors are African. We have not found that. So, you know, don't get mad at our genealogy because it's not something that was informed to you when you was in school. You know, because a lot of us, we grew up thinking that we was a whole different, totally different race. And it's not so much because of our elders, you know, because a lot of our elders told us what was up from the get-go, but, you know, we didn't really listen. We was too busy listening to our teachers, because our teachers put it in our mind that we are African, we come from Africa, African this, African that. So we grew up believing in that because of the school system that we was brought up in. So I can understand natives argument here. I really do understand them. But all the guessing and the harassment and the name calling and the meme making, like, grow up. Like, that's all I have to say. Like, grow up. Like, you know, because when y'all talk to originating people crazy, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Because a lot of y'all think I'm evil because of the way I respond to natives. And half the time, I don't even really say anything mean. It's y'all that think I say something mean. You're like, oh, that was a mean thing to say. I'm like, I didn't say anything mean. I was just returning energy, baby. I match energy if needed. I rise above it, but then I match it. It depends on you. So, I feel like if people want to be treated like a person, then they need to come correct with us. They need to come correct with their attitude, how they address us, how they come to us. Because I'm not going to respond to y'all guys rude or mean unless or now I'm not even gonna really respond to the mean or rude comments. I'll just ignore y'all because I mean, if you just came here to talk mess, then it's nothing to discuss, right? You came with the intent of not learning or understanding originating people, so you're gonna be ignored regardless. But to the ones that actually do comment with some sense, do comment with some consideration, we're gonna tell it like it is. Just like how you are stating your opinion, we're gonna state our opinion as well. We're gonna state the facts. We're gonna state the things that we know, the things that we don't know. Just to get a clearer understanding of what's really going on here. And I feel like in order for natives and aborigines to move forward, it's going to have we're going to have adult conversations. We're going to have to probably sit down somewhere and look at each other and be like, look, this is what it is. This is what we have stumbled upon. This is what's going on. Let's get down to it. Okay? Because I don't like this back and forth stuff. I don't like the petty arguments and stuff like that. Even though I will indulge in that sometimes, but I know that I'm better than that, and eventually I will rise above it because, all this arguing, petty, and back and forth stuff, it's not getting anybody anywhere. And when it comes to originating people, like, I don't know if natives understand. I can only speak from an originating point of view. Like, I don't identify as native, so, that's what that is. But for originating people, we have been hit below the belt plenty of times, So it's like when you talk to us, you better talk like you got some sense. Because I know originating people. And if you in any way, shape, or form say something that triggers them, that's the end of it all. Some of them native people are like that too. Like, if you just say one word, they be ready to go off. And I feel like that's so extra. But that's just how our people are. So if you really want to have like a deep heart-to-heart talk or connection with origines, don't be coming with the with the nice, nasty, talk to us. Don't sit here and be talking to us nice, nasty, because let me tell you something. Origines from the South, we know what nice, nasty is. Okay, we know when you are being kind and when you are trying to clown someone but in a nice tone or in a nice way. So just be careful about how you address originating people. Okay, because I got to the point now where I'm not going to sit here and debate with anybody about anything. I may say my piece or I may reply to a comment, but if it gets to a point where back and forth, there's no need. There's no need to be doing all that. I got stuff to do, so we going to leave it at that. We can leave it at that. But I really wanted to talk about this because origines, we're going to continue to embrace our originating heritage. I mean, there's no stopping it. There's no like trying to control it or contain it. It is what it is. Okay. At the end of the day, we have just as much of a right as embracing our original American heritage, just like how people feel like the natives have a right to embrace original American heritage. I'm not going to sit here and control people on what they should and should not do. That's too much time consuming, and that's the best way to lose track of your stuff when you are worried about what another mofo got going on. If you're so worried about what somebody else doing, you will eventually lose your stuff because you're too busy worrying about other people. Like, before you even talk mess to me, did you brush your teeth today? Did you wash your feet? Did you wash your face today? Did you take a bath? Did you pay some bills? Did you take care of your adult business before you trying to come for somebody? Okay? That's what people need to be worrying about, because I feel like people are so fixated on exposing, harassing, and going after people that they neglect their own stuff. And then they wonder why their life is in shambles. I'm like, well, you should have been focusing on your life, baby, and not mine. Let's just be honest here, y'all guys. Let's just be honest here. But at the end of the day, we're gonna continue what we're gonna continue. Okay, like Shop Originating, we're gonna continue to put out other designs of originating people, because in all honesty, and let me tell y'all something, I'm telling you this from an originating point of view, and I can't speak for other originators because all of our minds are different, but I can speak for me and say that, for people to say, oh yeah, I know there's some natives that do feel like we are the same people, and that we share a bloodline, and we're the same, right? And they come to me, they're like, oh well, I don't understand, this design is fake, I don't like it, I don't understand it, like, why is this, blah 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 blah. Well, let me tell y'all something, okay? There are so many designs of natives that are fake, okay? Like, there are images of origines that have been bleached out and whitewashed. So the ones that y'all promoting and be circulating around, or even have on the display at the museums, they are not even like real pictures. They are pictures that have been tainted, paintings that are not even historically accurate, or ain't even accurate to begin with. Okay? So if you want to sit here and talk about our designs are fake, our designs are based off of real paintings of real people. Okay? We're not the ones going around lightening people paintings and say this is what India look like. We're not doing what these museums are doing, and we're not doing what some of these natives are doing. Don't sit here and be trying to include Shop Originating, or even me, Achille Yona, saying that we be editing. I don't edit nothing. I'm not computer savvy like that. Like, I have no digital art skills whatsoever. So don't be coming to me talking about, oh, y'all be phone. Who is y'all? Who is y'all? Because that ain't me, baby. I ain't got time to be photoshopping stuff. I was in that group, Couple Romance, and at a point in time I had to even get myself out that group, because I'm like, I'm too grown to be out. I'm just too grown. Like, I can't do all of this. I can't be keeping up with this. So yeah, my priorities are together, or yours. So yeah, we're not, I mean, our paintings, our designs, etc., is based off of real people in real paintings. Okay? So, you can say what you gotta say, you can say what you gotta feel, but at the end of the day, we're not in the business of misleading people. And if we feel like some of y'all are taking the information and running away with it, we would clear that stuff up right away. Like, hey, you're doing too much. Just like with our Hiawatha design. We just gave that design the name Hiawatha because, in my opinion, he looks like a Hiawatha. Like, it's just something about that design that screams Hiawatha to me. And a lot of people was translating it as, oh, this is what Hiawatha the Peacemaker looked like. And we may have mentioned that, but we didn't say that that's what Hiawatha looks like. So yeah, we will correct it like as soon as ASAP. We're like, oh no, y'all going left with the information. This is just what we call the design. It's not based off of, this person, whatever. Okay? So, we're going to be honest here. We're not going to be misleading people here. And we're not going to be accepting judgment and harassment in any way. Because originating people, we deserve more than just being labeled as mixed blood and being put on the back burner like a stepchild. Because there are so many designs and so many paintings of originating people, and people are making their skin light. People are altering the way that they look and then present it to the public like this is what Indians look like. So when people like me say, hey, I'm an Indian, I'm original American, people are like, oh no, you're like really brown, or oh well, Indian hair, they got straight hair. I'm like, where are you getting your representations from? Because if you talking about Westerns, like you think you know what Indians look like do off of Westerns, then something's wrong. You let Hollywood mold your perception of what Indians look like. And half the time in those Westerns, it was pale people, almost mestizos, dressing up as indigenous people and darkening their skin. Most of the time. So, and just like with Iron Cody eyes, y'all be looking to these Hollywood actors in these Westerns as indigenous people, when half of them are, well, actually most of them are white. And then when y'all actually Google them, y'all like, oh my God, I didn't know this person was white. I thought that was an Indian. So really, in some of y'all mindset, y'all think that being an Indian is to look white or close to white. And that's not the case. White people know what they seen when they got here. We know what they seen when they got here because we was here. You know? So, we just gonna tell it like it is. We're gonna tell it like it is. Tell the truth. Shame the devil. And we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it pushing. Okay, but at some point in time, Aborigines and natives, they're gonna have a serious conversation and talk about some stuff. Because I can tell if a person is for me or is not for me. And if you feel threatened that we are making representations of Aborigines, good. I'm so glad you feel threatened. Because that lets me know that to you, this is a game. To you, it's all about who is put up on that pedestal at the end of the day. You know, natives been put on the pedestal for a long time. So I'm not, like, they're going to have their pedestal. But best believe, we're going to have mine. I'm going to have mine. My people going to have their own pedestal too. Best believe that. You know, like, we're not just going to uphold one image and say that's it. Because just like I said earlier in this video, people are not mad at the margarine butter native woman they have on their products. But when it gets to people that are dark skinned like me, and they put as a representation of, you know, originating people, then it's a problem. Then all of a sudden, this is racist. This, I don't like this. I don't like this term. Why you call it this? You know, and that's where the difference of cultures and customs that Aborigines and natives have. Because to natives, if it does not look like them, it's racist. If it does not represent them, it's racist. Okay? But to us, we are used to a lot of the words because we were there. We use those terms to identify ourselves. We use the term Redskin to identify ourselves. We are basically the only group of people in America that call themselves Redbone, Redskin, Red, Yellowbone, High Yellow. Those are our things. Those, like, that's how we identify ourselves. You know, like Indian. Like, our elders say they Indian to the end of their days. They're like, oh no, baby, I'm Indian. I'm not African. I'm Indian. But y'all would say that's offensive because, according to some of y'all, the word Indian is a racial slur. But that's a word that our elders used to identify themselves. So this is just like with, you know, so-called black people with the N-word. You know, there's black people that actually gonna use that N-word to the day they die, and I'm one of them. Okay, I will continue to use the N-word until the day I die, cause I've been using the N-word so much, like, I can't put it out my vocabulary. Like, if I'm out and about, I won't say it. You know, I'll act like a lady and be like, oh, hello, for my baby voice. But when I'm home alone, I'll be like, ugh, that nigga there, ugh, he would just get on my nerves. You know, because that's what we do. And there's some black people that feel like, oh my God, the N-word is so racist. I don't like the N-word. I don't like it. I don't like it. You know? So, even with black people, we don't all agree on what's racist to us. Okay? So it's going to be the same thing with natives and originating people. There are going to be natives that feel like, oh my God, this word is so racist. And originating people like, we been using this word. We know what this word is. This word ain't no damn racist. That's just going how it's gonna go, because not everybody's gonna think the same, not everybody's gonna agree on the same things, and that's obvious, because we all different people, we all have different perceptions of things, and we all feel differently, and this is why I emphasize on differences, because people feel like if you're not the same like them, then you must mean them wrong, you must mean them harm, but people are just gonna have to learn how to grow up. We all not gonna like the same things. We all not gonna agree on the same things. That's life. I'm gonna like strawberries. You may not like strawberries. You might like mangoes. I don't like mangoes. But at the end of the day, we all like what we like and we all don't like what we don't like. And I'm not gonna knock natives for not liking the term redskin. I mean, they have a right to say that they don't like the term redskin. That's them. I'm not going to sit here and control what another person can and cannot identify as, or say what they like and what they don't like. Because first of all, I'm not in control over them. I'm not getting paid to watch over their life. They have their own probably guardian angels, ancestors, whatever. They watching them. I got my own stuff going on. I don't have to sit here and dictate to what people should and could not call themselves. We are too grown for that. We are too grown to be governing people over what they should identify as or should not identify as. So they have a right to say that they don't like the term redskin or don't want to identify as the term redskin. That's cool. But what I'm saying is we also have the right to identify ourselves as what we want to identify as, and continue to use the terms that we deem as not racist or prejudiced or whatever, because we've been doing it. We're going to continue to do it. I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for me, but we already know what the deal is. So people just need to grow up and realize that we have differences. Origines and natives have differences. They grew up on fried bread. My elders, they did something similar with the fried bread, but you don't want to eat fried bread all the time. If you have PCOS, you don't want to be eating all that flour all the time. Okay? Like, fried bread ain't healthy like that. But also with our food too. Our food ain't healthy like that either. So, it's just like different backgrounds we come from. But it's similar though. It's so similar. I remember I like this page, and it was something about like natives. Like, it's like a native page. And I read this meme that they made, and it was like something, this food dropped on the floor, and someone was like, oh, the spirit must have wanted it. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Like, yeah, something randomly fall on the floor. Yeah, maybe a spirit did want it, And then I remember, I like, not that much later, after I read that meme, I walked into the living room, and my mom was like, oh, the bread just mysteriously fell on the floor. She's like, I guess the spirit wanted it. And I just started laughing. I'm like, I just read a scenario like this on the native page, and now my mom is saying the same thing from this meme. So there are some similarities we have within our cultures too, but we all are raised differently, and we all have a different background, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world, y'all. It's not the end of the world if if we come from different things. It's not the end of the world, but one thing is for sure, that we're gonna have to see each other boundaries, and it's just a line that needs to be crossed, and say, do not cross over this boundary, do not cross over this line, or we're gonna have problems. Okay? Because right now I feel like we're at a point where we need to establish boundaries. Like, we can talk and everything, but we need to establish some boundaries. Okay? Because Natives coming to us talking about some, oh, you know, this is racist, this is racist, I don't like this. But then I can pull some stuff out from supposedly, you know, our culture, right? Native culture, and show some masks that they made, and I could be like, this mask is racist. Okay, this mask look like blackface. Now what? Now what? There's a Iroquois mask that is black and it has red lips like someone doing blackface. We can be on the petty train too. Be like, this mask is racist, destroy it. We could be like that, but we're not gonna be like that because we know it's our culture, and we know that at this point, I just feel like Origines, there's so much stuff that happened with us that it's hard to hurt our feelings now. Like, it's hard to hurt our feelings. Like, some Origines, you know, they just upset over everything. Things just hurt their feelings. And some Origines, we just like, try harder. Like, you ain't gonna hurt their feelings that easily, you know. So, you know, there's a thin line between respect and disrespect. And at the end of the day, natives and Origines, we're going to have to figure that stuff out. We're going to have to figure it out, you know. I'm not dismissing what natives find offensive or whatever. You know, they have the right to find things offensive and not offensive. Okay? Like, not going to silence them, not going to say that they don't have a right to say anything or whatever. Because they do. You know, they're still people. They still have their own issues and stuff like that. I'm not going to silence nobody, you know, because that ain't my business. And I ain't got time to be doing all of that. But at the end of the day, Origines and natives, we grew up differently. You know, we may went through similar things. You know, we may have similar sayings. You know, because obviously we come from an indigenous nucleus. You know, we all have an indigenous background. But there's things that we're not going to find racist, and there's things that they're not going to find racist. You know, so there's going to have to be some boundaries that are made and recognized, and I feel like understanding is key too. Understanding is key. And you know, because as Shop Originating gets bigger, as you know, our platforms get bigger, as the more people come to us and get intrigued by the things that we make and the apparel we make, you know, there's going to come some point at time where, you know, it's going to be like a face-to-face thing, or at least like a video chat thing of us talking with the natives. And I already told y'all, if it's on some back and forth stuff, I'm hanging up. I ain't got time. I ain't got time. As soon as someone raised their voice at me, click. Be like, why are you hanging up? I'm like, you yelled at me. I don't do that. We are adults. Do not yell at me. Grow up. Grow up. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and go. My hand is getting tired of holding this phone. So I love y'all guys. And you know, I'm not gonna promote, you know, hate or anger towards Native people, because at the end of the day, it's the system, y'all. It's the system. It's the system that got people thinking what they are thinking now. You know? And it is what it is. You know, I'm not trying to change nobody's mind. I don't care to change people's minds. But one thing that is for certain, we're going to continue to live the way we live. We're going to continue to embrace our originating culture. And we're going to continue to reinvent our culture as well. Okay? Because for many years, we were taught to not embrace our culture due to paper genocide, colonization, genocide in general. And, you know, some of us have actually fall out of touch, not too much out of touch, but fall out of touch with indigenous culture. You know, we may still practice it to this day, but a lot of our people are not aware of it. A lot of our people don't know where to begin with originating culture. But it is up to us to continue to embrace, love, cherish our culture, and reinvent it. Y'all gonna see a whole new side of native culture, or in originating culture that y'all have never seen before. And with shop originating, we plan on doing that. Like, look at this bag, y'all. I love this bag. I take this bag everywhere. It looks so cute and it's so girly. Get this for y'all daughters, y'all. So when they go back to school, get this for your daughter. It's called a Nova tote bag. Let your baby girl get that bag so she could walk around with her school bags in it, her school books. Okay, like I don't see natives with this type of design. So it's all about reinventing the culture. And it's not as us reinventing the culture and not having ties to it, because we do have ties to it. And we're not going to let anybody who is outside ourselves and outside our family tell us otherwise. We have done our research. We know what it is. And we know that with culture in different societies, just culture in general, it evolves, it advances. Okay, so a lot of people look at our designs and they be like, I don't get it, I don't understand, this looks fake, this don't look like a real person. It does look like a real person. The designs are based on real people and real paintings. Okay, and we are working on giving it more of a modern flair so people can really come to terms with what's going on. Because people see images of origines, they see statues of origines, and they be like, oh, well, he's dark, but he don't have your hair, so therefore that ain't you. Like our elders didn't have straight hair, or like you can't, or like our ancestors didn't straighten their hair or wear wigs. Okay, like there are plenty of nations, not saying all indigenous nations, that wore wigs or perm their hair, but they did exist. And in some photos and paintings, you can actually tell that our people was wearing wigs. So all this like hair debates and skin debates, that's debunked already. That has we're not even going to entertain those type of conversations, because we know that we are Indian with and without the wig. Can nobody that don't look like me, that don't have melanin like me, and who ain't me, can tell me how to represent my culture and represent myself. You see this body, you see this vessel? This is how I express and represent my culture. Okay? This is how we express ourselves. You are the vessel. You are the vessel of how this culture is expressed. Okay? The culture comes through you. It's not so much as the material things. It's about how you are working it, how you are putting flavor to it, how you embrace it. That's how the culture comes out. People think wearing an indigenous headband and a choker makes you indigenous, or wearing indigenous regalia makes you indigenous, or having a effing ID card makes you indigenous. And it's no. What makes you indigenous is your bloodline. What makes you indigenous is you. Because before anything else, you had to be born, right? Right? You had to be born. Can't see nobody making rules to the culture or anything when ain't nobody alive and have not been birthed, right? So you had to be born. You was born into this world nude, right? So what are some ways that you are going to become closer to the source? What are some ways are you going to use to express yourself, what you feel inside, what you see, what you think? You understand? It's not so much as the things that we use. It's what's going on in here in our minds. Because the culture forms up in here. Everything we do came from a thought. It comes from signals that we pass down to our throughout our body to get us to move. You can't move your leg if your brain did not send that signal to the leg. You ain't moving that leg at all. If that brain cannot, if your brain cannot connect with your leg nerves, this just ain't happening. So everything starts in here in the mind. Okay, so what you deem native and what's not native, that's from your mental. That's from your mind. Okay, and people have the right to form their own opinion about things, you know. But at the end of the day, my bad, y'all. But at the end of the day, we have every right to express the culture how we want to. Because let me tell you something. The big dogs, we walking in now. You know, I can't talk about all these other people and what they got going on because I don't know everybody else. You know, I don't know everybody that's claimed to be indigenous. You know, because just like I said in my video the other day, you know, there's some Africans parading around as indigenous people. We seen it. I seen it. We know what it is. But you're not going to throw us in with them and say, oh, y'all Afrocentrics. I ain't Afro nothing. I ain't Afro nothing. I acknowledge the facts for what it is. But y'all know my point of view and y'all know where I stand at. So if y'all want to sit here and group us in with the Afrocentrics and the pro-blacks and all, that's fine. Go straight ahead. Go straight ahead. But just remember, if you feel like you want to come to an understanding with Origines, you need to understand that us and the Afrocentrics are two different groups of people. Two different groups of people. There are people out there that feel like Africans were the first here, and we are not one of them. At least I ain't. I already knew my people was here before everybody else. Okay? So, we know what the deal is. We have done the research. We know what it is. So, when you see us regaining our power, yeah, we're going to be like, switch that up. Yeah, move that over there. Yeah, we're going to start wearing this now. Yeah, we're going to sit here and change how this is. Yeah, this is how it is. Yeah, we're going to put this shit back over here. Excuse my French. We're going to start telling stuff for what it really is. Don't sit here and expect us to be quiet and come in the church like one little finger and be quiet and not express who we are and where we come from, our opinions. We're going to be loud. Y'all know me. When I first came into this, I was loud with it, okay? Like, I was ratchet, loud. I was all of that with it. You know, I have calmed down a lot. But just understand that there are going to be more of me out here, okay? And not so much as the creativity or the productivity, but more people that are loud, proud, and they know where they stand at. So they may not act like me completely, you know, they may not be mean like I was completely, but they know what the game is, and they're not going to be quiet about it either. We can see that now. So at the end of the day, people can say what they gotta say, but we already know on every landmass there was a melanated indigenous population that were original to that landmass. You can deny it, you can get upset about it, you can throw a temper tantrum. I don't care, because at the end of the day, I know the truth, and the truth don't care about your feelings, and neither do I. Okay, I'm being kind about it. I'm being kind about it, because I could be really mean about it if I wanted to, but I'm actually being a little kind. So yeah, y'all, like my fellow Origines out there, I love y'all guys. Thank you for supporting Shop Origining, and thank you for continuing to embrace who you are, because you have every right to embrace who you are as a person. Don't sit here and let outsiders tell you what you can and cannot do with your body, how you express yourself in your culture. You know, as long as you ain't doing nothing outlandish and something else really is actually disrespectful, you know, do you. Do you. Be happy. Be happy. Be happy expressing who you are and where you come from, because you have every right to do so. You know, and this is why Shop Origining exists, because everybody's so hanging up on what an Indian looks like and forget the actual culture that we do have and we should cherish. You know, like, yeah, be happy about what you look like. You know, be happy about for your melanin. You know, be happy for all these other different things, but don't forget that there's a culture too. There's a heritage behind being indigenous. You know, focus on that. Embrace that. Embrace our indigenous spirituality as well. You know, don't let them get you so caught up on looks and stuff like that. Because that's what them census takers was doing. They said, oh, you look like this. You look like that. We going to mark you down as this. Because you dark skinned. Because you this and you that. That is no different. And that's why a lot of Aborigines are not receptive to so-called natives' niceness or kindness, because we seen the prejudice and racism, and we seen what it looked like, and we can feel when other people are not being sincere to us. So if you constantly come at us talking about some, you know, there's dark-skinned indigenous people in Mexico, like there ain't no dark-skinned indigenous people in the United States. Like, we are here. Don't just post them when we are trying to put brown-skinned people on the map. Don't post them now, because y'all was not posting us when you know, before we started being vocal about things. No one was not posting dark-skinned Indians. No one wasn't posting Indians with afro hair or whatever. And y'all still lying. And y'all still lie about that. Because we will show y'all images of indigenous people with afros and curly hair. And y'all be like, no, that's fake. That's been altered. That ain't real. Well, if you can't sit here and accept the imagery of our people, then there's nothing to discuss. Because in your mind, you still want to continue to deny our existence here. So do what you got to do. Because I'm going to do what I got to do. And I'm going to continue to rep for my culture and my people. And I'm going to leave it at that. I love y'all guys. Don't forget to check out shoporiginating.com. And don't forget to take advantage of our sale right now. 25% off. Use code Indian at checkout. I love y'all guys. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.